Hello, and thank you for joining me today. My name is Julian Cortez, and today we're going to talk about one specific company that impacts nearly every American citizen living in America. Yes, it even impacts you, and if you never receive hospital services or fill prescription medications, this revolving door concept keeps companies like the McKesson Corporation going. Let's get started, shall we? The McKesson Corporation is one of America's top 3 pharmaceutical companies. Nearly every single opioid medication you have ever encountered most probably came from one of McKesson's 48 warehouses operating throughout the United States. McKesson can be directly linked around the opioid epidemic crisis in the United States. Politicians in Washington have permitted McKesson to operate on such a level that allowed them to fuel the opioid crisis in America without having to assume the responsibility for any of their actions. I'll explain after I share Rudy's story. This is Rudy Scott. Rudy died from an opioid overdose related to hydrocodone back in 2015. His autopsy reported that Rudy had taken roughly 100 milligrams of hydrocodone, which had resulted in his death through respiratory depression. His mother, Agnes, stated in a news interview that Rudy was only 13 years old, and she had not known how Rudy got his hands on the controlled substance medication. She wished nothing more than for someone to be held accountable for their role in the son's death. The NCBA 6 news report followed Rudy's story. Surprisingly, the trail led them directly to a McKesson warehouse in Colorado. In a 60-minute episode released about the McKesson Corporation, it was revealed that McKesson had supplied several shady internet pharmacies in remote city Colorado with enough hydrocodone to provide every mother, father, and child a 30 to 60 day supply of narco, the same drug that claimed Rudy's life that year. This distribution of opioids is supposed to be tightly regulated by the DEA. Companies are required to take steps to ensure that pills are not diverted for illicit use or sale. But in 2007, the government charged McKesson with failing to report suspicious opioid orders from some of its top customers. In 2008, the company had paid $13.3 million for their failure to report. McKesson entered into a memorandum of misunderstanding with the government. It's promised to develop a controlled substance monitoring program, or CSMP, and to report any suspicious orders. According to the government, McKesson did keep its word. The Department of Justice charged McKesson with the failure to follow the procedures and policies set forth in the McKesson CSMP, designed to detect and disclose suspicious orders of controlled substances. McKesson did not conduct any due diligence of its customers, did not keep an adequate record, and did not follow requirements for reporting suspicious orders. The DOJ alleged that McKesson did acknowledge that it had not identified or reported certain orders placed by certain pharmacies which should have been detected by McKesson as suspicious. Meanwhile, the company's CEO and board chairman, John Hammergren, profited $692 million over the past 9 years. In January 2016, McKesson paid $150 million penalty in response to this latest DEA investigation. But the lead agent for the DEA who was handling the case stated that that's not good enough. We need to put a McKesson executive behind bars. McKesson had been under a series of investigations from the DEA, and the lead agent leading the nationwide investigation was disgusted in his interview with 60 Minutes. He went as far as saying morale has been broken at the DEA. This is caused by how much power McKinson has in Washington. Its pull is too strong. The U.S. attorneys had refused to take the case to court, despite the McKinson case being the best case ever presented to the U.S. Attorney's Office in 20 plus years. The effort still hit a brick wall. In Washington, 2+ years of DEA investigation by 9+ DEA offices nationwide had failed. The U.S. Attorney's reasoning for not prosecuting McKinson was because it would drain too much time, money, and resources, while the fear of losing was also present. In essence, they were scared of McKinson and its political connections in Washington. Now let's talk about the U.S. Attorney alongside Washington politicians had not said. The McKinson Corporation contributed $144 million in lobbying fees this last season. Apparently, this had proven to be the victorious tactic, compounded with the shocking fact that McKinson had delivered a small town of 392 people in Colorado more than 9 million tablets of hydrocodone over a 2-year period is absolutely shocking. McKinson did acknowledge that it had not identified or reported any suspicion orders to the DEA, certain orders to the DEA after the issuing of the memorandum. Their justification for not reporting any suspicious orders is a direct link back to the Washington connections. Thanks to McKinson's $144 million lobbying contribution, politicians in Washington had allowed McKinson to operate without any real oversight. Although the DEA had regulated that McKinson must report suspicious opioid orders, politicians in Washington allowed McKinson to again swindle their way around such mandates. Certain laws were implemented to permit McKinson to set their own threshold for what the pharmaceutical company has allowed to order before the system had to recognize the order as suspicious. However, anytime a company exceeded that suspicious threshold previously set, McKinson was again permitted to raise that company's threshold so that they may feel the company's order and not have to report it to the DEA as an order of suspicion. The result, America's opioid crisis. See, it's a never-ending revolving door effect. When companies like McKinson lobby and contribute to certain political parties that much money during election season, it can be expected that when the party prevails, it will return the favor to the contributing party or company. The returns comes in form of whatever way may benefit the company or organization substantially. Unless we regulate lobbyist parties and massive corporations like McKinson, we'll simply continue to circle around ourselves in the revolving door concept. Currently, there are 388 former members of Congress who lobby in the open secrets revolving door per open secrets. Please help me take a stand and let's make a change. Sign my pension on HTTP Please sign my pension on this website, and together we can start building a healthier tomorrow for all Americans. Thank you.